This is the 2026 Yamaha Pacifica SC Standard Plus, and there's no doubt about it, it's a fantastic modern take on the Fender Telecaster. However, there are many great Telecasters out there as well at a similar sort of price point. Which one should you buy in 2026? Well, hopefully I'm going to be able to help you answer that question with this video, because I'm going to be comparing the Yamaha to my own favorite Mexican Fender Telecaster. We'll go through the looks, the sounds, the tones, the playability and so on, and by the end, hopefully you'll know whether or not you need to try out the Pacifica SC Standard Plus in 2026. Now, timestamps to all of the chapters of this video are going to be down there in the description and the comments if you'd like to go somewhere specific first, but I'm going to kick things off for you with the specs and features of both guitars, and we'll start with the Yamaha. So this is the 2026 Yamaha Pacifica SC Standard Plus, and I'd just like to mention that if you want to watch my full dedicated video specifically about this guitar, where I dive into even more detail and do even more sound samples with it, well, you can watch that on my channel elsewhere after you've done this one. But this is all about the comparison between this guitar and my own Fender Telecaster. Now, the Pacifica Standard Plus will set you back $999 or about 970 euros, so it's firmly in the medium price range for a guitar, and at current times it's very much a competitor to the modern day Fender Player 2 series of guitars. Those are kind of the standard made in Mexico Telecasters of today, and my specific Telecaster that we're using in this video is a 2014 Fender FSR standard Mexican built Tele, so similar sort of quality thresholds there as well. We'll go into the details of the Fender in a minute, but what do you get for your money with the Pacifica SC Standard Plus? Well, it's built in Indonesia, it comes with a really nice gig bag too. We've got a shell white finish and a rosewood board on this specific guitar, but you can get maple boards and there are many other finish options available as well. And underneath the shell white finish here, we have an alder body on this guitar. You can see if I twist us around to the back, we've got a nice big tummy cut there, and we've kind of got a shaved away neck pocket to give us even better upper fret access with this guitar. And we've also got a nice armrest going on the front of the body as well. The rest of the front of the body looks like a standard Telecaster on first viewing, but as you dive into a bit more detail, you'll see things that take us away from the standard Fender. Visually, we've got the scratch plate, which is a different shape, and of course the two knobs here are not parallel to the pickups and the bridge as you would have with the standard Fender Telecaster control plate. Now, in terms of the pickups here, we've got a humbucking pickup in the neck, and we've got a single coil Telecaster style looking pickup in the bridge, but it has a twist. Now, these pickups are designed by Yamaha in conjunction with Rupert Neve Designs, and with the bridge pickup and the bridge pickup only, because this doesn't affect the neck humbucker, you can pull up the tone knob here to activate the focus switch on this guitar. Now, that's a passive transformer-based boost that rolls off the high end in your signal, that gives you a bump in mids and a bump in low end as well. And what that is effectively doing is making this bridge single coil pickup sound a lot more like a genuine humbucker in your bridge position. Now, in my dedicated video about this guitar, I have a lot of sound samples of that where you can really hear it in action, and it does sound very much like a great interpretation of a humbucker to me. Now, in this video, I'm not going to do too many examples of that, so go to the dedicated video to hear that, but we'll hear it a few times up against the single coil bridge pickup of the Fender just to hear the difference in tone between the standard single coil bridge pickup here and the focus switch activated version. So that's the tone control. We've got a master volume control here that has a circuit akin to a treble bleed in it, so the more you turn it down, the more high end is preserved in your tone. We've got a three-way selector switch to move between the pickups, and in terms of bridge here, well, this is a Goto, and it's specifically a Goto BC TS1S chrome bridge with 3 compensated brass saddles. Nice and traditional Telecaster bridge going on there. And as we move up to the neck, the classy Telecaster-esque aesthetic continues. Now, we have a maple neck here, finished in a really nice satin slinky finish, really smooth and easy to get up and down, just as you would expect from a standard Fender Telecaster these days as well. Now, the maple neck is coupled to a rosewood fingerboard here, and we've got 22 medium jumbo stainless steel frets. Now, the fingerboard radius is 12 inches, so that's nice and modern feeling, a bit flatter than you would expect on most Fenders. The scale length is 25.5 inches, 648 millimeters, or the same as a Fender Telecaster, and we've got a 42 millimeter Graphtec Tusk nut here as well. And one final super cool touch to the neck is the fact that we've got truss rod wheel adjustment access here where the neck meets the body. That means that if you need to tweak the truss rod and give your guitar a little bit of TLC, well, you can do that in seconds via the tool that comes with the guitar. That's something that most Fender Telecasters don't have, and it's a great touch, and I think that every modern guitar should have truss rod wheel adjustment right there, right easy for you to access in seconds. Finally, up at the headstock, we've got the Pacifica standard Telecaster-esque headstock, and we've got a set of Goto locking tuners there on the back as well. So $999 or 970 euros gets you all of this, plus that really nice gig bag. How does that hold up against my 10-year-old Fender Telecaster? Well, let's go through the specs of that one now. And here we have my 2014 Fender FSR Standard Satin Telecaster, finished in this wonderful ocean blue candy finish. Probably the most beautiful guitar I've ever seen to date, and it's been my number one for over a decade now. And I have modded it to have extra stuff put into it, and actually all of the mods have made it more similar to the Pacifica SC Standard Plus, so that's an interesting thing to note straight away. Now, if you've ever watched my videos before, if you've ever seen any of my pedal or amp demos, well, you'll certainly have seen this Telecaster in action. It's a really nice rocking sort of a Tele. It has a ceramic bridge single coil Telecaster pickup, so that really gives it a nice thick sound. It's not the most traditional sounding Tele ever, but it is a wonderful sounding guitar. Now, I bought this guitar new back in 2014, and I think, if I remember correctly, it cost me about 450 Great British pounds. So that's about $500, 550 euros, something like that. Now, this is quality-wise, in my opinion, similar to a modern Fender Player 2 guitar, which is going to be about $850, $900, or about 800 euros or something like that. So still cheaper than the Pacifica SC Standard Plus, but not by much. Now, what do we get on this guitar? Well, we get this wonderful ocean blue candy finish, and underneath the finish we have an alder body, just like the Pacifica SC Standard Plus, and just like the Pacifica, we have a rosewood fingerboard coupled to a maple neck on this guitar as well. Now, in terms of the hardware on the body of the Fender, we've got, well, the original Fender bridge single coil Telecaster pickup, but I swapped out the neck pickup because it was just a little bit dull for my tastes, and I swapped it out with a Creamery UK wound wide range humbucking pickup. That is a fantastic take on the wide range humbucker. It's a vintage sounding one, not super high output. It's lovely and warm and thick sounding, but I've also got the option to coil split it as well. Now, I'm not going to showcase the coil splits too much in this video because the Pacifica doesn't have that, and I want to have these guitars as similar as possible, but there will be a couple of examples where you get to hear it, and I'll label it when it's on the coil split mode so you know what's going on. So those are the pickups then, and the bridge is also something I swapped out in this guitar. It originally came with a modern 6-saddle Fender Telecaster bridge, and I've swapped that out for a Wilkinson 3 brass saddle compensated bridge, again making it more similar to the 2026 Pacifica SC Standard Plus, but 10 years before that guitar came out. Now, otherwise we've got the standard Telecaster control plate here, 3-way selector switch, volume control, tone control, and we've got a push-push tone control here, and that splits the humbucker as mentioned before. Now, if we move around to the back here, you can see that this is more of a traditional slab of wood Telecaster body, no tummy cut going on the back here, and no arm bevel on the front either. This is just a piece of wood, very nice and simple, just like a Telecaster has always been. And moving up to the neck, and we have a maple neck on this one with a lovely skunk stripe, again a satin slinky feeling neck which has buffed up a bit over 10 years of constant use. And then we've got the lovely patterned rosewood fingerboard on this guitar as well. And the neck on this guitar is a Fender Modern C profile, but it's really kind of become an extension of my body in the decade plus that I've been playing this guitar every day. It feels so comfortable to me, and it just is a wonderful feeling thing. The edges of the board have been rounded. There is a tiny bit of fret wear, but it's just a guitar that I absolutely love and just feels like a part of me when I pick it up. Now, the neck on the Fender only has 21 frets compared to the 22 on the Pacifica. If that's a deal breaker for you, they're medium jumbo frets and they're standard nickel, so they're not stainless steel like you would get on the Yamaha. But the main measurements are fairly similar. We've got the 25.5 inch 648mm scale length. We've got a 42mm nut here, which I've had replaced with a bone nut over the years as well. And we've got a 9.5 inch fingerboard radius here compared to the slightly flatter 12 inch radius on the Yamaha. And moving up to the headstock, the absolute classic Telecaster headstock there, and we've got 6 in line of Fender's own tuners on the back here. So this is my trusty 2014 Fender FSR Standard Satin Telecaster. I paid £450 or thereabouts for this way back in the day. Now, if I was to buy this new today, I think the equivalent would be the Fender Player 2 Series Telecaster, which is going to be about $850, $900 or euros, depending on where you buy it, which takes it much closer to the price of the Pacifica SC Standard Plus. Still a little bit cheaper, but very much ballpark price sort of range. So, if you're in the market for a new Tele-type guitar in 2026, should you go for a Fender, or should you go for the Pacifica SC Standard? Standard Plus. Well, it's now time to move to the second part of this comparison video, and that's going to be the listening part, and it's time for me to play some riffs with both of these Telecasters for you. Now, my rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amplifier with a succession of my favourite pedals to spice things up. Now, in terms of overdrive and distortion, we'll use my Greer Lightspeed, my Crazy Tube Circuits Heat Seeker, and my Rev G3 to really give you a mix of different overdrive and high gain distortion sounds, and I'll kick in my Source Audio Collider for some extra reverb and delay tones when I think we need them. Now, we'll start things clean and we'll really try for some pristine, clean, Tele sort of tones, and we'll gradually up the gain levels until we're in full-on drop D metal sort of territory. I will check out the focus switch on the bridge pickup of the Yamaha, and I will split the coil of the neck humbucker on the Fender occasionally. Like I said, I will label all of that so you'll always know what's going on at any one time. And if you'd like to skip to a specific musical genre or anything like that, timestamps are going to be down there as always with my videos. So enjoy the tones, let me know which of the two guitars you think sounds best in the tonal stakes, and I'll give you my full and thorough opinions about both of these Telecasters afterwards. Okay then, so that was the 2026 Yamaha Pacifica SC Standard Plus up against my trusty 2014 Fender Mexican Satin Telecaster. And I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs and the tones. And you know what to do now. Please leave me a comment down there telling me which of the two guitars you preferred and why. Are you all about the traditional Fender Tele twang, or do you love the modern appointments and the Neve pickups that you have with the Yamaha Pacifica SC? As always, appreciate your comments and your thoughts down there, and let's get a bit of a discussion going. But now it's time for me to tell you my own personal thoughts, experiences and opinions about these two guitars, and maybe help you and guide you a little bit if you're currently deciding whether or not to get a Pacifica SC over maybe something like a standard Fender Telecaster in 2026 and beyond. Now, if you are going to be buying a new guitar like this, these are both excellent options, I have to say, and the main thing you should do is go down to your local store, try out both, and you'll leave with the one that works best for you. But these are my thoughts, my opinions and my experiences based on playing both of these guitars very extensively in the past few weeks. I've had the Yamaha Pacifica on loan from Yamaha Germany to make this video and a few others, and I've played it pretty much every day because it is a wonderful modern take on the Telecaster. But there are some specific differences and some significant differences between the two. But anyway, if you're going to be buying a guitar like this, I think the first thing that you would look at would be the looks, because that is a very important thing after all. And for me, the winner in the very subjective look stakes is going to be the Fender. I just love that satin ocean blue candy finish. That was what originally drew me to that guitar way back over a decade ago, and I still love it. It's probably my favorite looking guitar that I've ever seen, and it is still my number one, and it is just a beautiful looking thing. Now, there is a breeze blue metallic version of the Pacifica SC, which I've seen in person. I saw it at the NAMM show in January 2026. That's a beautiful looking guitar, but it can't quite match the Fender. So in terms of the looks, the Fender wins for me. And I think the second thing that you would look at would be the pricing of the guitars as well, because that's also a very important thing to be considering, especially in this day and age. Now, the Pacifica SC Standard Plus will set you back about $999 or 970 euros, and it comes with a great gig bag as well. Back in the day, over a decade ago, I paid way less, about 450 British pounds for my Fender Telecaster, but these days you'd be looking at a new Player 2 Series Tele with similar sorts of specs for about $850 to $900 or a little bit less in euros. So it's a little bit cheaper than the Yamaha, but not by much. However, in the pure value for money stakes, you'd have to say that the Fender just wins in that sense. However, when it comes to the build quality, does the extra stuff that you get with the Yamaha make it more worth it and more value for money in that sense? Well, quite possibly. Now, when it comes to my Fender, you get similar specs to a standard Player 2 Fender in 2026. An alder body, a maple neck, a rosewood fingerboard, standard Fender pickups you'd get in that as well, and standard Fender hardware as well. But there's a couple of key upgrades that you get with the Yamaha over the Fender in that sense then. First of all, you get stainless steel frets, which I think is going to be a taste thing for many players as well. I personally love stainless steel frets. I've got used to them now, and it's something that I would take on any future guitars if I have the option. I'd always take a stainless steel fret over a non-stainless steel fret. Then we've got Goto hardware in the form of some locking tuners here at the headstock and the Goto traditional Tele 3 compensated brass saddle bridge down on the body. So those are going to be great quality things to have as well. And Goto stuff, in my opinion, is generally going to be higher quality than your standard Mexican Fender hardware that you're getting on guitars. Then we come to the pickups. Now, in a standard Fender these days, you're going to be getting Fender's own pickups, which are great things, standard twangy Tele pickups. Or if you go for the modified version of the Player 2, you're going to get Fender noiseless pickups and maybe a humbucker in the bridge if you choose that, but that's a different thing. However, with the Yamaha, we're getting these Neve designed pickups, and again, I think that's a pretty cool thing to have. They're very different in a way to a traditional Tele. They're much more hi-fi sounding, but you get this focus switch as well. So that's another thing that really adds to the strings of the bow of the Pacifica. Now, in the overall build quality stakes as well, I have to say that every single Pacifica I've picked up this year, and I always pick one up in any music shop I go to or at any show I go to just to test the quality, they all have excellent setups and so on. The necks feel great, really well set up and so on, and the weights have been very nice and consistent as well. Now, when it comes to Fender standard Mexican Telecasters, I've played fantastic ones, and I have to say that I've played some terrible ones as well, and I've played a lot of middling ones too. Now, generally these days they edge towards being really rather good, and I've played a lot of Fender Player 2 Teles that I really liked, but I've kind of been on the search for one for the past year or two, and I still haven't found the one that works for me, and I've never played one that feels as good in the build quality stakes as this specific Pacifica SC Standard Plus. So there you go. I think in the build quality stakes, I'm going to have to give the win to the Yamaha. And the next thing I would come to would be the playability of these two guitars. Now, how a guitar plays is supremely important in deciding which guitar you're going to buy. These two guitars both have a lovely satin, slinky feeling maple neck, which is really rather comfortable. They both have a lovely rosewood fingerboard, and they both have had great setups as well. Now we've got 22 medium jumbo stainless steel frets on the Yamaha and 21 not stainless steel medium jumbo frets on the Fender. If I could choose, I would choose stainless steel frets, and I would choose 22 over 21, but it doesn't make a huge difference in terms of the playability to me. Now the neck profile on the Fender is their standard modern C, and it's just a tad chunkier than the neck on the Yamaha, and so in that sense I do find the Fender to be a slightly more comfortable neck for me. And of course I've played that one almost daily for 10 plus years, and it is an extension of my body. It just feels totally natural at this point. I can't beat the neck on that Fender. Now when it comes to the bodies, they're both incredibly ergonomic because they are Telecasters after all. They're built to be comfortable to play. However, objectively looking at it, you have to say that the Yamaha is just a tiny bit comfier. You've got the nice big tummy cut on the back, you've got the armrest on the front. It's not just a solid slab of wood like the Fender is, but that doesn't really bother me either. And so in the playability stakes, I think I'm probably going to have to give things just to the Fender based on the fact that I like that neck just a little bit more. And just a final little note on build quality and playability, that's the weight of the two guitars, and that's something that is very important for me personally too. I like a guitar to be under the 8-pound threshold because that means that it's going to be more comfortable for me if I'm standing up and playing it for a few hours at a time. If you're doing a covers gig or something like that, you want a guitar that's not going to be too heavy. And both of these guitars, I'm happy to report, do comfortably sit under the 8-pound threshold. They weigh almost exactly the same. They're both about 3.32 kilograms, which is about 7 pounds 5. So for me, they both win on the weight front. And the other really crucial thing that we need to talk about, of course, is going to be the tones. Which of these two guitars sounds better? And I think it's a legitimate question to ask, but which of these two guitars sounds more like a legitimate Telecaster? Now my Fender Telecaster is a Telecaster, of course, but it doesn't really sound like a traditional 50s or 60s Tele. It doesn't have that old vintage twang, particularly because I've put a wide range humbucker in the neck, and also because we've got this sort of modern Mexican ceramic single coil bridge pickup in the bridge, which doesn't really sound like an old school Fender pickup. Now it does do the twang thing and it does it very well, but it likes to rock out as well. And on the Pacifica, of course, we've got these Yamaha Rupert Neve designs pickups with the humbucker in the neck and that bridge single coil that you can kind of turn into a sort of fake but almost real sounding humbucker with the focus switch. And the Yamaha, for me, also, it can do the Tele twang, but it's much more of a modern, pristine, hi-fi sounding guitar, and that makes it incredibly versatile too. Now when we did clean stuff, I thought both of these did a great passable impression of a Telecaster. Being in the middle position, you can do great arpeggios, great country stuff, great strum chords, and the bridge pickups both have a nice bit of oomph and poke to them as well. Now the neck humbucker on the Yamaha is a beautiful sounding thing. It's the least humbuckery sounding humbucker I think I've heard in the neck. It almost sounds like a fat single coil, and although there isn't a coil split on it, I'm not going to be missing that in any way, shape or form because it just has so much clarity to it. I love the creamery wide range neck humbucker on the Fender Tele that I've installed as well, but that doesn't quite have the same sort of hi-fi clarity as you get from the Yamaha. Instead, it has more of a nice woolly, sort of saturated sort of sound, a classic sort of warm sounding neck humbucker, which is a great different sounding thing. Now, adding a bit of drive, I thought both of the bridge pickups on these guitars are fantastic for indie, alternative rock and classic rock as well. They both do great Hendrix tones, great AC/DC tones, and actually turning on the focus switch with the Yamaha does a great impression of a proper humbucker, and it sounds really huge. And in that sense, it makes this guitar a damn sight more versatile than the Fender in that sense. And by the way, just to remind you again, if you want to hear even more examples of the focus switch being turned on and off, you can do that in the dedicated video that I did of this guitar as well. And when it comes to playing harder, heavier styles, hard rock, punk rock, and even some down-tuned metal, again, I found myself using the focus switch more and more with the Yamaha, especially in that dedicated video. But here you can hear that the hi-fi sounds of the Yamaha give it a more modern tonality than the sounds of the Fender. So in conclusion, both of these guitars sound fantastic and they're both incredibly versatile instruments as well. Which guitar sounds better? Well, that is a very subjective thing to call, but the way I see it is this. Now, if I wanted a more traditional sounding Telecaster, well, I actually wouldn't pick either of these two guitars, but I think the Fender definitely wins in those stakes. However, if I'm looking for a more well-rounded guitar, a more versatile guitar that can cover literally any style of music, I would probably pick the Yamaha. The focus switch is great. I love that neck humbucker as well. well, and the combination and all the options you have just make it a great modern sounding thing. So ultimately, by a hair's breadth, I'm going to give the winner in the tonal department in today's video to the Yamaha Pacifica SC. And I think I'm surprised as you are by saying that, but there you go. Based on what I've heard today, the Pacifica just wins it in that department. However, if you've been watching this video and you like the idea of these two guitars, but you're wondering what else is out there, well, we're looking at modern Telecasters here, so there are many, many options out there. And I'll repeat it again, go down to your local guitar store and try out as many as you can, and you'll leave with the one that works for you. But for stuff like this, I would say stick close to home, because Yamaha make great stuff and Fender make, well, the best Telecasters, and the original Telecasters as well. They are the OGs in this game. Now, if money is not an object for you, you could try something like a Fender Custom Shop or whatever, or you could try the beautiful, the wonderful, the exquisite Japan-built professional version of the Pacifica SC, which is a great guitar and does improve on the Indonesian-built SC Standard Plus. However, you've got the law of diminishing returns there, and in my opinion, the kings in the value for money stakes are at this sort of price point. Now, when it comes to something that will compete with the SC Standard Plus from Fender, you're going to be looking at a modern-day Player 2 series, or to get even closer in terms of specs, you could go for the Player 2 modified Teles, where you can get a humbucker in the neck with those, which has a coil split 2, where you can get 22 frets instead of 1, and you get Fender noiseless pickups as well, which in my opinion are going to have a closer tonal character to the Neves in the Pacifica. Those are all excellent guitars, and the Fender Player 2 modifieds come with gig bags as well. Now, if you wanted a more classic and vintage feeling and sounding Fender option, you could go for the new Vintera 3 series, or you could grab a bargain on the presumably heavily reduced Vintera 2 series, which is on the way out right now. Those have more classic feeling necks with 7¼ inch radiuses and stuff like that. More classic vintage sounding Fender pickups as well, but there are going to be numerous different options too. So a Player 2 for a more modern feel, and a Vintera 3 or a Vintera 2 for a more vintage sort of a feel. And if you want to save more money still, I've played some excellent, more affordable Telecasters recently from the likes of Squier in their classic vibe lineup, from the likes of Jet with their JT350, video on that one there. That is a wonderful guitar as well with a humbucker in the neck. Or you could try the now ubiquitous Harley Benton I Still Have My Sub $200 TE62. That is still a wonderful take on the Telecaster, and videos of that one are going to be elsewhere on my channel as well. Or if you want to try something a little bit weirder, try something like a Schecter PT. That's going to have a P90 in the neck position, or track down something by the likes of Vintage. They have some amazing V52s and V62s, and there's probably going to be a link to a vintage T-style guitar somewhere else on my channel that you can see as well. I'm a huge Telecaster fan though, and I've played many over the years, but none have ever really managed to touch that 2014 Mexican Fender Telecaster. At the end of the day though, the Pacifica SC Standard Plus is probably the T-style guitar that comes closest to replacing that Telecaster for me. Everything about this guitar just works for me really, really well. I think it looks great, it feels great, it plays wonderfully, and it sounds fantastic and is incredibly tonally versatile as well. Okay, it's not a traditional Telecaster, but if you want a traditional Telecaster, well, you should go out and buy a traditional Telecaster. And as I've already said in this video, over the last couple of years, I've been trying out as many Player 2 Telecasters in stores as I can, because I'd really like to buy one and use it on my channel a lot more often to be my new sort of Telecaster for demoing pickups and amps and so on and so on. But I've never found one that matches up to this Pacifica SC Standard Plus. Now, there may be one out there for me and I just haven't found it yet, or it may just be that the Pacifica SC Standard Plus is the best modern sub $1,000 Telecaster type guitar out there. Controversial statement? Maybe, but let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. Now, if you've been watching this and you're currently choosing between a Pacifica and a Telecaster, I hope that I've managed to guide you a little bit and I've answered all of the questions that you may have. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there and I shall answer you to the very best of my ability. If you're still around, it would really make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even sub to my channel, because that really does help, and there's lots of similar videos coming up on this sort of stuff in the future. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.